Tatsumi Kimishima is a name that you're all going to become extremely familiar with and well-versed with because he is now the president of Nintendo. The late and great Iwata passing was something that left everybody within the gaming industry and fans all around the world with a heavy heart. Many people knew that those were shoes that were going to be extremely difficult to fill. And anybody that was going to end up taking that position and taking on that job as CEO was going to be compared to Iwata. And it's unfortunate, but that's how things are. And Kimishima obviously has his work cut out for him, considering that he's heading up one of the biggest video game companies in the entire world. Now, I had talked briefly about what Nintendo would have to do with a new president set in place, who that they were going to pick. I figured that they would promote within, and sure enough, they ended up doing such a thing. I figured that Shigeru Miyamoto wouldn't be the person for the job, despite a lot of people assuming. Now, he was taking up the duties of that until Kimishima was crowned as being president, but I just felt that Miyamoto is more of a creative force, rather than somebody who could be heralded as, you know, the president and a leader and is business savvy enough to do something like that. Miyamoto is somebody that you want on the ground level, working with teams of developers and grooming them into being like the next big thing, and coming up with ideas and making video games, because that's what he excels at. Kimishima is a businessman, and it's interesting to note, if you look at the history of the past Nintendo presidents, him being the 5th president, if you look in the past, many of them had backgrounds as programmers and developers and things of that nature. They were people that understood both sides of the coin. And Kimishima is only one side to that. That doesn't necessarily spell that, oh, he won't be cut out for the job and he won't understand the demographic or anything like that. Keep in mind, again, this is a man who's been with the company for decades now and has been promoted over and over again. He was the head of Nintendo of America before Reggie Fils-Aimé had taken up that spot. He was the president of the Pokemon Company. Hell, when he was president, they put out, in my two personal favorite, being Pokemon Gold and Silver, that's whenever he was president of the company. Hell, the Pokemon brand at that time was absolutely exploding and everywhere. And when he was part of Nintendo of America, which still to this day, he oversees many of the things that go on with Nintendo of America, so he's kind of been all over the place, and now he's heading up the entire company. So Tatsumi Kimishima is now CEO of the company. Where do we go from here? I had already stated that Nintendo is in a big state of transition. You figure with them trying to get the infrastructure of their entire online network up and going, you know, merging with another company, trying to go and get that shit locked down. They're jumping on the mobile bandwagon. They're still going strong with the 3DS and the Wii U. The NX is on the horizon. I figure that the Wii U, bare minimum, has at least like 2 more years out of it, but the NX is coming, no matter what. It's already been confirmed that developers are making games for it, so I can imagine that give it a year, year and a half, possibly 2, and it'll be out. So this is what he's going to be going with. Iwata had already had the framework and the foundation laid out for plans well on into the future. And many people within the company, who obviously are a part of all these different projects, are going to end up helping make this stuff into a reality so that they can progress on into tomorrow. So this is going to be a large undertaking for anybody that has to go in during all of this. And especially when you have to go and follow in the footsteps of somebody that is recognized, revered, and loved as being one of the best people within the industry, it's a large task. But they sure as shit wouldn't pick him if they didn't feel that he was up to snuff. Now, he has been met with a large amount of scrutiny, which I was talking about previously, and that's because of 2 things, which I don't feel are that big of a deal, but many people have just been kind of focusing on them. The first was his age, and that I can understand to a degree. He's coming into this position at the age of 65. For most, that's retirement age. And Iwata was 55 whenever he had passed, so 10 years his junior. And if you think about this, many people had thought it'd be a lot better of an idea if they had got somebody who was young and full of vigor, somebody who's got a mindset to go after the demographic that Nintendo really needs to focus on. Somebody that's going to be able to go to long haul. And that's not to say that this guy's going to just suddenly not be able to take on the day-to-day tasks that he's obviously accepted. But many people don't feel that he'll be able to go to long haul. Now, that remains to be seen. You know, that's something that we're going to have to see for the next, I don't even know how many years. But I feel that he'll be just fine, even at his age. And most will try to go and mock and say, oh, well, he's 65, he's clearly out of touch and doesn't understand things. He's been working with the company the entire time. I mean, you can't say that he's out of touch if he's obviously been here proving himself for years now. And he's excelled at everything that he's been doing. So why the fuck doubt him? Just based off that. To me, that's experience. Nothing else, nothing more. But time will tell. You know, we could just safely assume that he's going to be a fuck up and safely assume that he's going to be absolutely perfect for the job. Time will tell. Whatever he decides to go and propose, whatever he decides needs to go ahead, we're going to see what decisions that he makes, what things that he decides to put out there, and see if the rest of the people within the company say, that's what we need to do. That's the direction that we want to run with. These are the changes that we need to implement. You know, time will tell. The other was, people didn't like the way that he looked. Many were saying that he looked mean. He just doesn't look that friendly. You know, I just don't like his face. What the fuck does that have to do with anything? We are not talking about a beauty pageant here. Okay, the way that this man looks aesthetically has nothing to do with his work ethic, his past experience, and his vision for what Nintendo should be doing as a whole, as a company within this industry. Hop the fuck off of that right the fuck now. Anybody who's saying shit like that, you're ridiculous. You're fucking ridiculous thinking that that matters. Fuck you if you actually think that kind of shit. That's dumb. I want to see what he's going to bring to the table. I look forward to this. I'm still extremely fucking saddened that Iwata had to go and pass because that man had many more years to offer us. And he was too damn good of a person, because it's always the assholes out there that live for fucking years and years and years, and the good die young. But he left a legacy behind. He left an impression on everybody within this world, and sure enough, he is going to take that torch and he's going to run with it. Trust me when I say that. So don't sit there and doubt this man before you get to see what he's going to do. Don't sit there and do anything like that. If anything, you should try to be upbeat about everything. I'm not saying go and get your fucking hopes up or anything like that. Just see what he has to offer before you make any kind of judgment calls. Anyway, this is Alpha Omega Sin. As always, nerds, nerdettes, and gamers, game the fuck on!